Hello beautiful, my name is Mina. Welcome to my channel, Mina Reads, and today I'm going to be doing a personalized recommendations video. So I asked you guys over on my Instagram, my Twitter, and in the community tab if you could send me some of your requests, and I'm going to answer as many of them as I possibly can in as little time as possible, because y'all know I like to talk. But let's get into it because you guys were very engaged with me on this and sent me a lot of requests. So I'm going to try to answer as many as I possibly can, and there were a lot of really interesting, very detailed ones as well. So let's get into it. The first prompt that I'm seeing here is queer fantasy, and this has come at the perfect time because I just finished reading this really awesome queer fantasy series. It's not a completed series yet, but it is called The Tarot Sequence by Katie Edwards, and this is about a character named Rune St. John, and he is a member of this kind of like fallen house, and this is a fantasy series that is set in a kind of like modern urban fantasy environment, and the ruling class are these people called the Arcana, based on like the tarot deck. And so Rune, he is a part of the Sun Arcana court, but when he was a child his court was destroyed, and so we're following Rune as an adult, and he is like doing these little investigations and favors for other Arcana members to kind of make ends meet, and he ends up getting caught in various conspiracies over the course of the series as he's kind of trying to ascend to his broken throne. It's really interesting. It's really fun, very fast-paced. It has incredible found family dynamics, like a really sweet romance at the center of it. It's really dark in some ways, and it's like lots of twists and turns and everything like that. It's very action-packed, lots of magic and monsters and all that good stuff. So I would highly recommend it. Also, it is raining incredibly hard outside, so if you can hear like the rain and like the thunder and all that, I'm sorry. But yeah, so this is like an incredible fantasy series. I wish more people would like get into it because it's so fun. So if you're looking for particularly an urban fantasy, I'd highly recommend this. It's just like, it's just so great. It's so great. I love it so much. Highly recommend. Alright, so this next prompt, so they're looking for something dark but funny, something that's kind of like a crime thriller type book, and I definitely want to recommend Sign Here by Claudia Lux. It's very interesting. So Sign Here is kind of a story that's told in two parts, and the two narratives are running parallel to each other. So in the first sort of section of the narrative, we have this character named Peyote Trip, and Peyote is a worker in hell, and so he is on a mission to collect as many souls as he can from like a particular family line, and if he collects a certain amount of souls, then he will be able to sort of like ascend to a higher position in hell. He's looking for a promotion pretty much, and so we're seeing like his side of the narrative, which is really like dark and a little eerie, but also very funny and like satirical, because it imagines hell as like this uncanny bureaucracy sort of thing. And then we have on the opposite side this domestic thriller going on with this family whose souls he is trying to collect, and they have like this really you know, sort of stereotypical like summer beach house drama playing out between them. And so we're seeing both storylines happening at the same time, and it does have, like I said, a little comedic tilt to it, but it is kind of dark, and it is very engaging because it's like the story is moving in so many different directions, and the way they converge is pretty interesting. So I would highly recommend that. Alright, let's see. Feminine Rage and Revenge. I absolutely have to recommend you They Never Learned by Lane Fargo. This is a really awesome book about this female professor, and she basically kills shitty men on campus, and she's been getting away with it for a really long time until a lot of these murders that she fabricates to look like suicides, the school is a little bit worried about the suicide rates on their campus, so they send somebody to investigate, and so our main character is kind of in danger of being found out, and it's just very fun, very engaging. Saying that murder is fun sounds crazy, but it is a very engaging read. I really enjoyed the main character, and it was just like, it was so great. So I'd highly recommend that book for sure. If you're looking for revenge, female rage, excellent. Also, it's queer, so yeah. Okay, so this person is looking for a Sapphic Dark Academia book, and I will say that I haven't read this book, but I hear good things about Plain Bad Heroines, and I also know that Lessons in Vengeance by Victoria Lee is like a Sapphic Dark Academia. I have those two books that you could check out, but I haven't personally read them, so I am sorry. Alright, so this next person is looking for a grim, kind of dark fantasy, the romance subplot, and vampires. boy do I have the book for you. You need to read Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Chupeco. It is exactly as you describe. It has a romance subplot, a polyamorous romance subplot with this guy who is a vampire hunter and this vampire couple that's like obsessed with him. It is very dark and gritty and violent, and they're trying to figure out what is going on with this like magical virus that is plaguing their nation. So it is kind of gritty and gruesome. There's like some body horror stuff and like some human experimentation stuff, so it is really dark in some ways, but it is a very engaging read with really interesting characters, a very compelling romance subplot, and I would highly recommend it. Put it in your cart, hit checkout immediately. It's so good. Okay, this person is looking for emotional romances with little / no descriptive smut. I love smut, but lately I've been getting so bored of it. That's true. That can happen with too much exposure. I would say maybe check out Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This was a very interesting like romance reading experience, and it's about like these two childhood friends who become lovers, and they have been separated for like pretty much like a decade at this point, and we're seeing them like meeting again as adults and kind of slowly but surely uncovering the nature of their relationship and what went wrong and like how they're finding their way back to each other. And I did find that book to be really emotional and very compelling, and I don't believe that there's any graphic sex in it, or if there is, it's definitely not a lot, so maybe check that one out. All right, this next prompt is Black and Gay, Poly and Black. Well, guess what? I'm going to give you something that is black, gay, and polyamorous all in one novel. Are you ready? I have this book for you. It's called Just for the Cameras, and this book is, and Just for the Cameras is about these three roommates, Luca, Kian, and Jordan, and they all have been friends for years. They've been roommates for years. Kian and Jordan, they are already a couple, and they have a crush on Luca, and so pretty much Kian and Jordan, they do like OnlyFans, and they invite Luca to like help them film a scene for their page, and after filming this scene, sort of like the walls break down, the yearning and pining reaches all new levels, and this is about them like getting together. This is an erotic romance, so it's very, very heavy on the spice, but it is a very gay, very poly, very black romance, and I love it so much. And the characters are also like Nigerian, but they're living in London, and I just love that element. Like, it was just cool, and I like that it was set outside the United States, because I don't read enough books that are set outside the United States. It was a good time. I really recommend it. Okay, so this person says, I've been interested in more apocalyptic books or light all fluff romances. So I don't know if I have a good romance recommendation for you, but I will recommend you the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, which is set during the apocalypse, and it's pretty much about this world where apocalyptic climate events are happening like with extreme frequency, and about how this society is kind of continuing to survive in the aftermath of that. And we have this main character, Esun, who is looking for her daughter as one of these like climate events begins to occur, and she is separated from her daughter, so she's looking for her. There's a lot of other moving parts to the story, but I think that that's all you really need to know going into it. The world building is really interesting. It's full of amazing characters, and it's just really good. I would highly recommend it if you're looking for something that deals with like an apocalyptic setting. It's so good. Okay, then we have this one, a queer book that reads like a sad indie film. Boy, do I have some recommendations for you, bestie. First of all, I need more people to read these Violent Delights by Micah Nemerever. This is a like dark academia story about two boys obsessed with each other, and they commit acts of violence to show their devotion towards one another. Very much A24 film vibes. It just gives you like such an eerie, creepy sort of feeling, and I think it would perfectly translate to that kind of vibe, and like it should be adapted. Like, I really believe that. So that one. I also would recommend you The Wicker King by Kate Ankrum, which is similarly, it's about two boys who are wildly obsessed with each other. They are childhood friends, and they're in this really intense, like toxic codependent relationship dynamic that is very wild, and it definitely gives me sad queer indie film vibes, because it is a very sad story about two people like bonding through trauma and neglect, and so it definitely has sad indie film vibes. And the final book that I'm going to recommend you is, of course, maybe the one that immediately jumps to mind, so I'm not sure if you read this or not yet, but On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This is a very beautiful, lyrical, sad, angsty story about a young queer Vietnamese man telling a story to his mother through a letter, and pretty much like giving her his life story, but you know, through his lens as a young queer Vietnamese man, his experiences with life and love and loss. And it is so beautiful, and I would love to see this adapted as well soon, and I definitely think it would translate to that sad queer indie film vibe. So yeah, those would be my recommendations for that. Be sure to check those out. All those books were so good. I'm like wildly obsessed with every single one of them, so please read them. So this next prompt is for a single dad romance, and I would say that you should try The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. It's about this guy named Aiden, and he's a chef, and he's like really busy, but he's recently taken on full custody of his daughter, and so he needs a little bit of help taking care of her because he's at work all the time. And yeah, so it's about this nanny that comes to work for him, and him and the nanny have lots of tension, and they also have a shared past that they don't, unbeknownst to them. And it's very interesting, it's very fun, there's a lot of tension, the chemistry is really good, and also the dynamic between the nanny, whose name has just escaped me, but the dynamic between the nanny and the daughter is so cute, and just like their sort of family dynamic, and like seeing all their scenes together while they're like raising this girl together is so good. So I would highly recommend it. Yeah. Okay, let's see. All right, this one is cool. This is an interesting. Cunty blonde male vampire. Seems too specific, but I would love the vibes. It's not too specific. I got you, bestie. I read this book recently. It's called A Flame in the Night by Morgan Dante. So this is about this dude named Leon who is blonde and very cunty, and it's about him and his wife, and they end up meeting this vampire, and stuff and things happen from there. It is very erotic and hedonistic, and it is a historical story set in like the 1920s, 1910s or something like that, over in Paris maybe. So yeah, it's very interesting. I feel like it has the vibes you seek, so check it out. Okay, so then I have two prompts that I am going to combine into one book recommendation. So we have one person asking for a queer romance that's multi-POV. It isn't second chance, bonus points if it's polyamorous. All right, so it's second chance, but at the same time, not really, because these people were never together before. They just know each other from the past. They knew each other in high school, so like it doesn't count as second chance, I don't think, but maybe it could. So I'm sorry, it has a slight second chance vibe, but also it doesn't. This is their first time attempting to have a romance, okay? And then this next person is saying something queer, heavy on the kink, but still soft. So I'm going to recommend you The Losers Duology by Harley Laroe. This is about a poly group of people who knew each other in high school. They had a very tense, unfriendly relationship in the high school years. The girl, Jessica, she was like a bullying the losers, and later on in college she ends up seeing them again. They all have like a hookup at a party, and then the losers duet starts out some time after that hookup. She hasn't been in contact with them, and some stuff and things occur, and they end up like forming a relationship. So this is really it is very heavy on the kink. It is very erotic, but it's also really soft. The way that they just create like community and the found family of it is very soft, very sweet. They spend a lot of time together, like getting to know each other, getting to know each other's passions, hobbies, their dreams for the future. And so it has like a really soft vibe to it, but it's also very erotic and very fun. And like you said, you want multiple POVs, and I think that this is one of the strongest polyamorous stories that I've ever read, in the sense that all of the characters have very strongly defined personalities, personal histories, and like thoughts, dreams, aspirations, like really strong character voice, so that you can tell them all apart really easily. So I think that this is just one of the most like well-developed, well-crafted poly romances I've ever read. And like I said, it is heavy on the kink, and they have some pretty wild, a little bit scary kinks sometimes, so definitely check out the content warnings that will be in the beginning of the book. But good times, I highly recommend it. Okay, this person says, have you ever come across any Sapphic Mafia romance books before? I have. So let me look up the name of the book because I just remember the author. It's written by Layla Rain. So let's see. Let's see. It's a part of her Fog City series. So this is a pretty short one. It's a novella and it's like a little under 200 pages. And it's about this girl, Helena Madigan, and she's like the head of this like mafia crime family, and some like woman gets kind of caught up in some mafia business and like a drive-by shooting, and so Helena and her family are trying to take care of this woman and like keep her safe and away from their enemies and everything like that. And so it's about her like bonding with this lady, and also the lady is a mechanic, which is cool, and the lady is like a single mom, so there's like a really interesting vibe going on there. So yeah, I have read that one. I also recently saw someone talking about a different Sapphic Mafia story on TikTok, and it was one of my mutuals. Her name's Brooke, and let me see if I could find the title of this book that she was recommending. It's called Giovanna by Victoria Arrow, and yeah, it says it's about like an older masked lesbian in the mafia, and it's about her like stealing her younger brother's fiance. Slay. It sounds scandalous, it sounds wild. Maybe you'll like it. I don't know. Check it out. Again, I haven't read it, so I can't vouch for it personally, but I wanted to give you some options to choose from because that is a very good prompt. Like, pretty genius on your part. I don't think anybody's ever asked me for that before. Okay, this one is a sweet and spicy romance taking place in the summer, a nice beach read. So I would recommend Love Scammed by Rosie Adams. This is about this girl who she's supposed to go on like a girls trip with her best friend, but her best friend pulls out at the last second, and so she decides that she's going on the vacation by herself, but her friend is trying to set her up with another like mutual friend guy. So the girl, she ends up coming to the vacation, and this dude that her friend knows is also there, and so they're like sharing the vacation together, and it's a very fun, very cute like vacation romance between them, and it is a novella, so it's pretty short, but it's a good time. I will also definitely recommend Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. This is a really good like destination wedding romance that's set in the summer. It's set in Mexico, so it has really fun beachy vibes. It's a really huge cast of characters. It's very fun, it's very funny, but it's also kind of emotional, and we have our two main characters, Janelle and Rome, and they have such an amazing romantic dynamic, and Rome is so down bad for Janelle, and he will just do anything and everything to kind of make her happy, to make her smile, and just seeing their relationship develop is so incredible. It's also very spicy. There's definitely like a lot of emotional development and spice, and we love to see it, so I highly recommend that one. Unhinged romance between two people obsessed with each other. I'm going to say check out the Necessary Evil series by Onley James. It's about like this family of serial killers, and each book is about a different brother in this serial killer family falling in love with somebody, and not only are they unhinged and scarily obsessed with their love interests, but their love interests are also very unhinged and obsessed in turn. The first book in this series, which is called Unhinged, very aptly titled, the two protagonists, Adam and Noah, they're super crazy about each other. Like their dynamic is wild, okay, like wild. So yeah, it's going to give you the exact vibes that you're looking for straight off the bat. I'd recommend it. Okay, this person said, I just want disabled MC rep that isn't problematic. One that I want to recommend is called True Biz by Sarah Novick. I believe that's the author's name, and this is about a young deaf girl going to a deaf school for the first time at like 16 or 17, and it's really about how her family has sort of deprived her of language her whole life because they have been hoping that she would be compatible with like these cochlear implants that she has, even though she is not. And so she's been very language deprived her whole life, and she finally gets to attend this school that's specifically for deaf children and learning sign language for the first time. And so it's about like her, basically almost like her radicalization and like her disability activism after going to that school, but also just like her getting to experience all of these like regular teenage milestones for the first time through this like new school that she's at. And I really like this book a lot, and I don't hear people talk about it that frequently, but it was like a pretty good YA story that I enjoyed a whole lot. Let's see. Okay, this one is asking for a Sapphic angel / demon book. Here's another one that I have not read yet, but the author just announced this and did a cover reveal. So let me find the title of this one. It's about one of those creatures like from the Mortal Instruments series. What is it, like Nymphelum or something like that? So they have like angelic blood, not exactly angels, but it's about like this person with angelic blood who is like a demon hunter falling in love with this demon, and the cover for it is so beautiful. So I'm just going to show it to you on the screen because I cannot find it for the life of me right now, but it's a very beautiful cover. It seems like it could be a really good vibe, and it's Sapphic, so put it on your TBRs, pre-order it, all that good stuff. I'm not exactly sure when it's debuting, but I will also leave the date here on the screen somewhere for you. Okay, so that's going to be all the prompts that I can answer for today. Thank you so much for sending these in for me. If you'd like me to recommend you a book in the future, you can go ahead and leave those in the comments below. You could also follow me on my Instagram or my Twitter, and I usually put the prompt out over there, so if you follow me on there, you'll be one of the first to know, and maybe the sooner you get your prompt in, the more likely I am to answer it. So thank you so much for watching. Bye, you guys. Mwah.